And let's see how this works now. Let's see if this will do a little better for YouTube. It's coming in. Alright, as you all coming in, hit the thumbs up for me. Let me know if you can hear me well. If the sound is good, I'm just going to change to my, okay, clear now. Alright, so I don't know, maybe iPad responds differently to my internet versus my webcam, right? So I don't know. But right into the topic. I don't know if you all recognize this or you're aware that we are in a recession, right? We are in a recession. Now, two things are going to happen in July. Number one, in July, credit scores for 40 million Americans are going to drop, right? It's called the FICO 10 and the FICO 10T. So the credit algorithm for 40 million Americans will automatically change and cause a decrease in credit scores, right? So if you are at the 680 range, your credit score can drop anywhere from 20 to 40 points. Okay, that's number one. Hello, Essential Everyday C-Star on my YouTube. And hello, YouTube, as you all are coming in, hit the thumbs up on Facebook. Make sure you hit like and you hit share as well. So that's approaching in July. Another thing that's approaching in July is that stimulus, hello, Sean, stimulus checks will be decreased or they will end. And when I stimulus check, I mean the federal rates for unemployment payout of $600 in addition to whatever your state's unemployment is. So in July, that $600 stimulus for unemployment, because you have some Americans right now that are earning more from unemployment than they were at their job. They're at about $25 an hour for unemployment, right? And then they have the $600 in addition. That will end in July. So the perfect storm is brewing. And now for me is not the time for me to encourage people to go through a class or take months of understanding how to build their credit scores, because I know what's approaching. I know what storm is brewing when it comes to credit scores. Because for many Americans, right, they live off of their credit. They don't leverage their credit, right? They live off of their credit, meaning they use their credit sometimes as a second income or a supplemental income. And some Americans just don't use their credit wisely. They purchase it with things that depreciate in value versus things that appreciate in value, right? And so for many Americans, when that $600 federal stimulus of unemployment expires the end of July, or for some Americans, it's expiring now and they're returning back to work to their jobs in which they now have a lower pay cut, right? Then that's going to be a recipe, right, for disaster, because now you're going to have limited cash flow and limit to no credit available. Now, for some people that are in the process of taking action and getting their credit repaired or restored now, right, then they can possibly position themselves to use their credit and additional cash flow. I was listening to a YouTube video today, and the question asked was, if your salary is 30 to 40,000 a year, is it a realistic thing that you can not live without credit or paycheck, or you can stop living paycheck to paycheck? And this is why, because simply put, we are going to see three different types of, this is stuff you don't learn in schools, three different types of inflation occurring. You're going to see hyperinflation, in which prices drastically increase on goods and services, especially groceries, 50% or higher than the normal pricing. So it's a hyperinflation. So we will experience hyperinflation. And in some cases, it may be just inflation, where prices are increasing, but not at the higher rate of hyperinflation that you may see in groceries and gas. Then you're going to see a deflation in certain areas. What is deflation? Deflation is the lowering of pricing on certain items such as homes, but you will experience deflation because many people will lose their homes, right? Due to cannot make payments, or also in July there's brewing balloon payments for defaulted mortgage debt or payments will all be payable in July, right? Thank you so much, Facebook, for that digital love. So in July, if you are defaulting 3 months on your mortgage payments, it's going to be time to pay the piper all 3 months and that 4th month. So it's a lot of things upcoming in July, right? Now, so you have the credit crisis of the credit score dropping. You have defaulted mortgage and maybe credit card payments due all at once, right? And so these are things that we have to be careful and you have to prepare for. And then you have the Fed $600 stimulus incentive that's expected to expire then. For some people, it's going to expire by the end of this month because states are opening and many of you all have to return back to work, and you will be making less on your jobs than you were with the unemployment. So with all of this that's set to occur in July, you do have something, right, that's happening tomorrow. So that's why I decided to go live. And it's called the Bitcoin halving, right? The Bitcoin halving. So what exactly is the Bitcoin halving that will occur tomorrow? Well, first of all, it happens every 4 years, right? It happens every 4 years. And it means that the supply and demand of Bitcoin will be cut short. All right, so stay with me and I'll explain it. So the first Bitcoin halving occurred November 28 in 2012. The price of Bitcoin, or a share for Bitcoin, was $11, and then it increased within a year up to $1,000, right? So it's like me telling you, if you buy shares at $11 a year later, this will increase to $1,000, right? Now, 4 years later, in July of 2016, the second halving occurred. The price of Bitcoin was $700 a share, and 17 months later, in December of 2018, the price skyrocketed to $20,000. So again, it's like me informing you, you can make a $700 investment, and 17 months later, it will increase to $20,000. So 4 years from July of 2016, we are scheduled to have the third Bitcoin halving, right? So what does halving mean? It means that Bitcoin will drop from mining or producing 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, right? To, well, right now it's 12.5 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. It will drop that to 6.5, which means it will be a 50% decrease. So whenever you show scarcity, it can impact the demand and the price, right? And so crypto.com, if you're on my YouTube channel, just this, I have the link that will be in this video that tomorrow, no, Bitcoin officially halving will be tomorrow, May 12th at midnight, Mountain Time. The halving was not today. Over the weekend, it took a small dip, I think like 9% in the pricing, but the Bitcoin halving was not today. And so tomorrow, crypto.com will offer 50% off of Bitcoin with the minimum $1,000 of purchase at 12 Mountain Standard Time. Now, I say this to say this. Also, a perfect storm is brewing when it comes to silver, physical silver, not ETFs, right? Physical silver and silver mining stocks. The silver to gold ratio reached a 5,000 year record high. Let me say that again. The silver to gold ratio reached a 5,000 year record high. Meaning that for the first time in history, in 5,000 years, the silver to gold ratio is 123 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. Let me say that again. The silver to gold ratio is, and let me Google this to read, is 123 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. The highest it's been in 5,000 years. Now, let me get all this together. If you know that your credit score is going to change, that your cash flow, I have something flying, could possibly decrease, that if you are currently not making payments on your credit card or mortgage debt, and the FHA loans, well, not FHA, they won't require a lump sum if you're with FHA. But if you have any type of mortgage loan, a balloon payment is going to be due in July, and unemployment $600 stimulus will be cut off in July. What are you going to do now to prepare? Because we are already in a recession, people. It is no quick comeback from where this economy is. The United States, for example, is almost, the GDP is almost higher than our national debt, meaning our gross domestic product production, than what our national debt is. And let me explain this way. Let's say, for instance, you had a credit card that you were not planning to pay as agreed, and you decided for some odd reason that I'm just going to max this credit card out. I'm going to max this credit card out, and I'm not going to pay it, but I'm going to max it out. In essence, that's what the United States is doing with the dollar right now. It is saying we are going to give out the stimulus. We're going to pay people more through unemployment. We are going to get trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. We're going to run up our national debt. And we may renege on the debt and not pay it out. Because although it took 1 year for Bitcoin, for the first halving in 2012, and then 17 months for the second halving in 2016, many economists are stating that the halving could reach its highest peak by September of this year, because where the national debt is going and people having less faith in the dollar, because again, inflation is when prices increase. Hyperinflation is when prices increase by 50% or more than the regular prices. If you've been keeping up with the news and the media, you already know that many farmers are already having to destroy their crops because of transporting issues, right? Many meat factories are not producing the meat because of this flu virus or whatever the case may be, or transporting issues as well. So everything here is supply and demand. Supply and demand, which impacts pricing. So let's go back to silver and gold. All right. That means that when the silver and gold ratio, the ounces of silver versus the ounces of gold. And let me read some historical things, because you don't get this taught in school. So I'm reading from 𝒞𝓇𝑒𝒹𝒾𝓉 that explains that in 1934, President Franklin Roosevelt enacted and passed a Gold Reserve Act that made it illegal for American citizens and the Federal Reserve not to own gold. This act required that all Americans and Federal Reserve to surrender all their gold coins as well as gold certificates to the United States Department of Treasury in exchange for then American dollars, which we call fiat money or printed money, right? Citizens as well as the Federal Bank Reserves transfer all their golds to the U.S. Treasury at a discount. The results was the United States was established, and which would control the value of the dollar. So from 1934 to 1947, the gold ratio rose to 100 for a brief period before settling back to 20-1. So at this time, the silver to gold ratio meant that 20 ounces of silver equaled or valued 1 ounce of gold, right? So in 1971, President Nixon passed legislation that abolished the gold standard. And this became as the Nixon shock, which effectively ended the Bretton Woods agreements to abolish for the ability of other countries to convert U.S. dollars into gold, right? So the gold-silver ratio rose again when this happened in 1971 to 80-1. 80-1. So between 1990 and 2015, the gold-silver ratio was 90-1, and it was even low to 35-1. Now, currently, everyone, in 2020, it is currently 123 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. Never in history has it taken 123 ounces of silver to equal the value of 1 single ounce of gold until today. Let me say that again. Never in history has it ever taken 123 ounces of silver to equal the value of a single ounce of gold until today, this moment. Until this moment, right? So let me block some. Okay, so it's clear that silver will outperform gold. Now, why does silver and gold matter? Because whenever more dollars, right, Kendra, whenever more dollars are digitalized or stimulus or the Fed is giving unemployment or whatever the situation may be, is distributed. In other words, the national debt is increasing, right? Then silver and gold, which is real money, which is God money, right, is always used, and by the constitutional, it is money, has always have to be used to the accounting, to reset the accounting system. So by the end of April, right, April, an ounce of gold was equivalent to just 112 ounces of silver in price. So gold has a 31% gain over silver for the first 4 months of this year, right, until now. So I'm trying to really educate you all. It's like some people are saying that, you need to slow down, get your credit fixed, which you do. You don't need to invest in Bitcoin or silver. That's some people advice. But you know what? That's like saying that I'm going to give you swimming lessons in a storm. You can't teach people to swim outside while there's a storm. You have to give them a fast track. You have to put, it's just like, excuse my finger. I teach in public schools, right? And when you have a child that has failed 2 or 3 years, they have to take remedial classes. They have to be put in fast track. Because now we are trying to make up for those years of loss in a short amount of time. Because that child by age is outgrowing the other students and that surrounding grade level. So we can't go the normal pace that the students who are on track are on. You have to fast track. So what do if you're one of the Americans who don't have $400 at this time, like we just had for emergency savings and cash, but you're swimming or drowning in debt? What do you do if you're drowning in debt? You only have one option, right? You have to increase your cash flow. You have to increase your cash flow, and you have to understand how credit is used to create more cash flow versus getting you in debt. Hello, Miss Lala on Facebook. Let me say that again. You have to understand how credit is used to create more cash flow for you versus getting you deeper drowning in debt. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. So number one, if you're one of millions of Americans who have been called back to work and now you're going to have a pay decrease as a result because you were making more money unemployed, now you need a cash flowing business or supplement to help you make more money. See, if you always have a money shortage, no matter how much you budget, you can't budget broke. Whether you all are watching this live or in the replay, I want you to put that in the comment. You cannot budget broke. Because this is what's going to happen. Excuse me, I flipped it. Inflation will be the second tax. Let me say that again. When these prices increase on your goods and services, inflation will be your second tax. The first tax is that 6.2% of federal taxes taken out of your paycheck. Can you afford to have 10 to 12% out of your paycheck going towards inflation and taxes? Thank you all on Facebook. Facebook is making a mind message connection. Miss Slaughter and Kendra are saying you cannot budget broke. You can't. So when you have gas and grocery prices increasing, and then you have your mortgage debt that's due for a balloon payment. Thank you, Mike, for putting that in. And then you have FICO 10 that's coming, that's going to decrease credit scores. They're already cutting the credit card limits. And the reason why credit card limits are being cut right now is because we, the United States, keep producing more debt. And more debt that we produce, the less the banks want to take a risk on lenders. So they cut the credit limits because they know that as the United States get into more debt, it's going to result in the consumers getting more in debt. Because once you get that stimulus and more dollars are inflated into the economy, this is going to cause prices to increase. Everything is about demand and price, supply and demand. The more you have of dollars to purchase goods and services, and when goods and services cannot be transitioned or transit to your community, the higher the price demand will be. On the other side, on the flip side, as it relates to Bitcoin and silver, the supply and demand for Bitcoin is being cut. For silver, the ratio is increasing. The most it has in 5,000 year record. And Bitcoin is expected to increase as an insurance investment, not 17 months as the halving that occurred in 2016, or 1 year later like the halving in 2012, but because we are entering a global depression as little as September of this year. So what's the solution? What's the solution? Number one, 40 million Americans' credit score is going to plummet. A lot of these Americans can still use credit unions, especially their local credit unions, because they only service, they only service the people in that local area or that state or that community. So credit unions, past history, has loaned and lend because they operate under different rules and regulations than banks. So people will need to depend on credit unions because the banks are going to cut their credit limits and their availability to loan. The same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 11 years old, but people are trusting Bitcoin now because the United States seems like it wants to go bankruptcy. Again, I explained it. That once you have a plan to default on a credit card that's still open and available for you to use, what you usually do is max out that credit card until you can't spend it anymore. And then you just stop making payments. You default on it. And it seems like the United States is looking to max out its debt, to default on it, to go to a cryptocurrency system as well. Okay, Tyrone on YouTube and Miss Slaughter on Facebook says Alliant. Yes, Alliant is very good. Penn Fed, Navy Fed, all of those national bigger credit unions are good as well. So there are some people who sign up for me in the home-based credit repair business. Let me give you 2 reasons why that's an excellent decision you need to make right now. This is all about chess and making chess moves and not checkers. See, people that's telling you to sign up for your do-it-yourself credit repair, you might get your credit in good standing in 2021, they are playing checkers with you. The slow pace. You can't play checkers in a recession. And you definitely can't play checkers in a global depression. That's playing checkers. If you want to play chess, You're going to have to increase your cash flow and your credit fast at the same time. So what do you do when you know that 40 million Americans' credit scores are going to plummet, but they know they can get help from credit unions? You get your home-based credit repair business. Go to my website, www.fixmycreditandcash.com. Select the tab home-based business. This is how you play checkers to win in this recession, right? www.fixmycreditandcash.com. You are going to need the backings of credit unions because banks are not going to lend to you. Number 2, you're going to need extra cash flow. My home-based business opportunity have 10 ways to pay you. And let me tell you, I've been in home-based business or network marketing for about 5 or 6 years. Never has the opportunity to pay me 10 ways ever been present. And so what I do is when I'm overwhelmed with clients, because I have more clients enrolling now for credit restoration through my personal services, I outsource this business, this home-based business, to take on some of those clients and to do the credit repair when I'm overwhelmed with clients. Because time is money, right? And if you can't make money while you're sleeping, you always work. So I can't just have residual income streams. I have to have passive income streams. So what's passive income streams? Passive income is when I do little or no work. And that's what this home-based business does for me. And once you partner up with me, you can do it as well. And it's not going to be hard. You don't have to market credit repair when in July 40 million Americans' credit score will drop. You just ask people, do you need help fixing your credit? Would you need to have emergency credit cards in these times if your job is cut off through credit unions, or if you're not receiving no income or little income, and you show them your credit score results? Another thing that this home-based business does is for people that are fortunate and blessed to still will have a job, it will help them get $200 to $600 more out of their paychecks legally, because I told you you have 2 taxes that's going to hit people in the next upcoming months. The tax out of their paycheck from the federal government at 6.2%, and the taxes and inflation, because prices are going to increase because the Fed is giving out stimulus money, which will cause a price increase. The things that the price will decrease in, foreclosure homes, people are not really investing in real estate as far as rental homes at this time. They're going to wait to 2021 simply because you have a lot of Airbnb property and you have a lot of people that are not paying their rent due to this economic situation. So more people are investing in real estate housing next year, 2021. So you need to invest in 2 things: improving your credit and cash flow. And with Bitcoin halving taking place tomorrow, if you have the extra funds, according to history, and history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, right? Bitcoin has been a very good recession proof against the printed dollar to make an insurance or an investment in, whichever way you want, or a hedge against the dollar. Also, you can go to my website, www.fixmycreditandcash.com, get my silver stacking report. Again, supply and demand. It's a direct impact on demand and price. Silver became so unavailable on websites, Ampec, SD Bullion, JD Bullion. You couldn't buy it 4 weeks ago. Now, if you buy it, you need to get it and you need to know what type of silver to buy. Meaning that once you get the physical silver and hold on to it, once you resell it, when the pricing skyrockets within the next year, you won't pay the taxes on that and lose 30% of your profit. So you need to know what silver is excluded from the capital gains taxes. So you go to my website, Silver Stacking Report, a very small investment of $35. So in order to make up for the silver that was not available to purchase online or local metal dealers, what I did was also include a silver stacking and stocks report as well. Silver stacking and stocks report. My number one stock today on that silver stacking and stocks report was up 4.98%, and it's paying out a dividend of 17.90, a yearly, a quarterly dividend interest rate. So it's the next best thing of not having access to physical silver if you cannot get the physical silver. Because again, I told you that silver to gold ratio is the highest it's been in a 5,000 year record. Meaning you'll get more bang for your buck, more return, and having physical silver in your investment portfolio. The same thing with Bitcoin. So you need to have coins, physical silver, crypto. Bitcoin will lead them all. Cash flow in business. You need to partnership with me. It's only $229 one time. Yes, 17% dividend quarterly. You want to know what that stock in? Get that silver stacking report. It's on my home page. Stroll all the way down to the bottom at www.fixmycreditconsulting.com. Cash flow in business. You need to get a recession-proof business. $229 one time. And again, this is the only business that's going to help you with the two taxes, which are inflation. And some people might say, well, I don't have a paycheck. I have other forms of income. Listen, there are a million of Americans that have paychecks that need to get $200 to $600 out of their paycheck. And you also get 475 tax deductions versus an employee who will only have 9 tax deductions. So then that maximize your tax returns or minimize the amount you were paying in taxes if you always owe taxes during tax at the end of the tax year. One-time investment, $229. You get added to a private Facebook group. You get millionaire mentoring. We have always training, on-call demand, the support system you need to be successful, and a website for you to market, www.howtoshiftyourincome.com. If anyone that you want to bring in wants to know more about it. So you get three people to become business partners with you, and your monthly fee is waived, meaning it's free. Or you just get 7 customers and say, hey, I don't want a home-based business, but I need more money out of my paycheck legally, and I need to increase my cash flow at the same time. You get 7 customers to do that, and they only pay a small investment of $80. As long as they're customers, you get $40 up front, 50% profit. Then you get an opportunity to get residual income of $10 of every customer, starting with the 8th customer. So your next thing to do is to get crops. We're going to have a agriculture, grocery, supply and demand, which will spike the prices of groceries. If you have some land to farm on, you can get seed, access to seeds. You need to get crops. You need to have availability of food. Cash flow in business, and improve your credit, get crops and get coins, and you can get rich in this recession. If you do none of that, along with crypto, if you do none of that, you're going to be on the other end. You can either be a part of the biggest wealth transfer or the biggest global depression that this generation has ever experienced. So all of this information, the silver stacking reports on my website, the home-based business opportunity, everything except crops, And if you go to my YouTube, crypto.com, again, 50% off of Bitcoin tomorrow, midnight, Mountain Standard Time. That is predicted by September of this year to give you 10 times on that investment. And if not September of this year, even if it's, economists have said December 2021, they are expecting Bitcoin to possibly hit $100,000. And right now it's about $8,600. So if you have not created that account with crypto.com, you have about 24 hours to do so. YouTube, Facebook, I'll put the link in my description. You definitely need to do that. If you have any extra money, if you're getting additional $600, if you're looking for something to put your money so that you can get out of debt, you need extra cash flow, and you need to get in this home-based business for one-time, low, small investment of $229 to help people, right, who will need credit help in July, who try not to lose their homes in July when the balloon payment is due, who credit cards are going to be cut off in July, who unemployment stimulus is going to be cut off in July, right? So I'm giving you the right chess moves to make, not checkers, to be successful. So it's up to you to take action. Hey, I'm signing off. This is the Queen of Credit. Also, if you want my personal touch on getting your credit restored, also, everything is on my website, www.fixbadcredit.com. Right now, you go to credit help online. Small investment, $75, give you a credit analysis. Please don't text me your number, ask me to call you. You have to have a credit audit, a credit analysis for the conversation to begin. There's nothing that you can explain to me about your credit until I see your credit score personally to be able to give you a diagnosis. And then with that, if the home-based business is not for you, you just want your credit up and you want to make the investments, you want me to personally work with you to get that credit the level it need to be, so you won't be one of the 40 million Americans who's negatively affected by FICO 10. Go to my website as well, fixmycreditandcash.com, credit book online. I'm signing off. If I'm not too busy tomorrow, I go live again tomorrow. We'll look at what Bitcoin is doing, but know the seasons, right? Thank you so much, Lee, aka Les Brown, and know that this is the time to play chess and not checkers, right? This is the time to work with the queen and get your credit and your cash flow up. Sean Grant, you would like to sign up for the home-based business. Sean, go to my website, www.fixmycreditandcash.com. On that tab, home-based business. Enroll. Go ahead. Matter of fact, let me just give you the direct website to sign up while I'm online. Let me give you the direct link and not the indirect link. Go to this tab, over 10 ways to earn income, Sean. And also fix your own personal credit and your own paycheck and cash flow. So Sean on YouTube, that's the direct link in there. You would just select enrollment. You want the financial director. Click here to continue your enrollment and the financial edge. Put in your personal business information, contact information. Once you enroll, I'll add you to the private Facebook group and their support system, and answer any questions that you may have once you become my business partner to help you get started and be successful. You have to put your payment information in, and you have to agree and sign below, and then I will send you a get started video to help you get started with the first steps, your home-based business, right? And just know that the paycheck checkup, also people are getting whether they have anyone that wants to get started with them in business or as a customer, they are getting their paycheck analyzed and receiving as much as $200 to $600 more a month from out of every pay period because they are overpaying in taxes. And many people don't know how to complete their 2020 W-4 tax, right? Tax information, so they're overpaying in taxes. So looking forward for you being my business partner and increasing your credit and your cash flow. I'm signing out. It's the Queen of Credit. Here's to your peace and prosperity, your health and your wealth, and your credit and cash flow. People, this is the season to play chess, not checkers, right? You can't be scared. You got to make the moves to position you and your family for these next upcoming weeks and months of what we're going to experience collectively as a country, right? So, hey, thanks for tuning in. You too, make sure you all hit that thumbs up.